Hello, Edwina Murphy-Droomer is my name, and I want to warmly welcome you to this interview in the series that is all about, well, conversations with phenomenal feminine entrepreneurs, where I'm diving in to discover their insights on how to take control of your future, your prosperity, and your freedom. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce you to Rebecca Whitman. Rebecca, thank you so much for being with us.
I'm so excited to be here, Edwina.
So, for those in our audience that haven't met you until this moment, I would love you to just start with sharing your story. I know that you were an actress, your story from being an actress into the work, the entrepreneurial online work that you do now.
Absolutely. So I moved to LA to pursue acting like so many people do.
Yep.
And luckily, I had a great job where I was able to work part time. I had an open schedule, so I was free to audition. And I did get some auditions, but I had a lot of time to study with great spiritual teachers. So I studied with people that I really, really admired, like Abraham Hicks, Michael Beckwith, Wayne Dyer, Marion Williamson. And I would say that not getting an acting career actually sculpted my soul in a way that nothing else could have. And what happened was that one area of my life, the one piece of the puzzle I couldn't figure out was my love life. And I was so determined to figure that out. And I met a man that I thought, you know what? He's not quite my soulmate, but I better marry him fast because I want to have a baby. So so I married him, and needless to say, it was very painful. So I was determined to learn what is a healthy relationship. I realized that I had to get out of this toxic relationship. So as this relationship was unraveling, my dad was in a nursing home dying. And I remember sitting in a therapist's chair, and she's like, Rebecca, what do you want? What do you want? And I realized in that moment that I wanted a life of ease, grace, and spiritual dignity. And I realized that it's more important to feel good than to look good. So I started the divorce proceedings. My dad's funeral was on a Wednesday. My divorce was finalized that same week on a Friday. Now, my dad's final words to me were, Rebecca, write something. I don't care if it's a blog, an essay, or a magazine article, just write anything because you have a great perspective. And I didn't know what to write. So I was hanging out in my financial planner's office in workout clothes. And he's like, Rebecca, I'm looking at your portfolio and you're doing really well financially, but every time you take a meeting, it's in workout clothes. Can you write a book and explain to women how you can be in workout clothes and make six figures working part time? So I was like, thank you. That is going to be the title of my book. It's going to
Yeah.
be How to Make a Six Figure Income Working Part Time. That was published in 2018, and I started going around doing book parties about sharing the information in the book, and that launched my podcast and my coaching career. So that's how I made the transition.
Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing. You get these ideas and these downloads of what's going to happen, and then somebody just gives you the title of the book and it all unfolds. Um, I mean, obviously, I'm absolutely intrigued. I'd love to know some of your, maybe even just the chapter headings, or, how do you guide people through that process?
So I look at life holistically. A lot of people, I know we were talking before we hit record, women are like, I will do this when, right? First, I'm going to make six figures. Then I'm going to hire a trainer. Then I'm going to be in shape. Then I'm going to date and meet my soulmate. Then I'll have time to socialize with my girlfriends. And they keep putting their happiness off into the distance. But I teach that happiness is now. And to me, happiness comes first and then your success, not the other way around. So to have a happy life, I teach women that you want to have balance within seven key areas of life. I call them my pillars of abundance. So,
Yep.
your spirituality, your physical fitness, your emotional life, romantic life, mental, social, and financial. And when you have all seven pillars in alignment, you can manifest meeting your soulmate. You can manifest six or seven figures working part time. You can manifest an uplifting group of wonderful women like the women that you're bringing together for this wonderful show. So yeah, that is what I teach. It's a 360-degree lifestyle.
Yeah. I hear these things and I'm, like, I feel like it sounds simple. So why aren't we all doing it? Maybe if you're happy to, can we pull out one and look at it and just go, okay, so maybe spiritual. How do you start with the spiritual pillar and what's the breakdown? Is that a clear question?
Yeah, sure. So the most important pillar is the first one. So the pillars are in order of importance. So spirituality is first because if you're going to become an entrepreneur, you want to have a power greater than yourself. Call it God, Buddha, Jesus, Allah, whatever you want to call it. You want to have something to surrender to because as women, we want to control everything, but if we try to control everything, it makes us crazy and we get overwhelmed. So we want to have something to surrender to. We want to have a teammate, someone that is loving and supporting us as we go on to this journey of being an entrepreneur. So spirituality comes first, and one of my biggest tools is to have a morning practice. So
Mm,
the first thing you do as soon as you open your eyes is you set an intention for the day, and then you do something, do your regular things, brush your teeth, wash your face, go to the bathroom, but then have some time set aside, even if it's just 5 minutes. 5 minutes is better than nothing, where
yeah.
you plug in spiritually. It could be many things. It could be meditation, it could be prayer, it could be reading from spiritual literature, it could be just lighting a candle and sitting there and staring at the flame. There's so many ways that we can tune in to the spirituality in our lives, but that is the most important thing. I'm a huge believer in a God journal. So there's, a format that I have that I've been using for, I don't even know, 25 years of a God journal. That's been amazing. So whatever it is that gets you plugged in to your spirituality, I believe how you start your day determines the type of day that you have. So
Yes.
that's a really, really important thing, is to have a morning practice.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely align with that. So there's two things in there. There's one word that I heard that I did a leadership training a couple of years ago, and the one thing that they kept pushing me towards was surrender. The idea of surrender to me is a really triggering word. I've got better. But surrender, I think for a lot of women, probably men as well, but for the purposes of this conversation, it's not easy. It's like, oh, well, I mean, that's all very well, surrender, but, like I've got 4 kids and meals to make and I get everyone to school and then I've got work and, it's like, what does surrender mean?
So a lot of people say write gratitude lists in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I write 3 lists. I write a gratitude list, I write a surrender list, and I write how do I want to be that day. Because I also took the same training and we learned to create from our beingness, not our doingness. So the surrender list is a brain dump. Whatever is in my brain that is causing me free floating anxiety, it
Yeah.
could be my taxes, it could be, somebody not calling me back, it could be finishing, something, an email, whatever it is in my brain that is causing me free floating anxiety. I surrender it. I surrender, write all my things out that cause me
Yeah.
anxiety. And then once I write it down, it's out of my brain. I have mental space to create a beautiful day, and then I just don't even think about it because I know I surrendered it to my higher power.
Yeah. Beautiful. And the other word I heard that I know can be a little off-putting to some people is spirituality and God. There's a lot of people that don't have a relationship with God and they tie religion and spirituality together. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, I have a funny joke about that. So, religion is for people who believe in heaven and hell, and spirituality is for people who have been to hell and back.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. So spirituality is not dogma. It's not following a list of rules and regulations. It's not judgment of yourself and others. To me, it's all about being a loving presence. So, what would love do? How would love think of the situation or person? How would love think of myself? So, that is to me the opposite of religion, which is all like control. It's the
Yeah.
opposite. It's just being a loving presence in the world.
I am so glad I asked you that question. I think you've given me one of the most clear and concise answers to that I've heard. And that's saying something. That's saying
Good.
something. Love it. Well done. I hope you have that encapsulated in something on your Instagram or on your website, because I think people would find that super useful.
I don't, but I will now.
Yeah. There you I'll give you a recording of this interview. You can pull it out and just word for word. Um, I think it's one of the things that I pulled from your website was talking about being unapologetically authentic. And I think this is a wonderful conversation to have with somebody who was an actress. I'm sure you still use your skills in different areas. What does it mean? You know, I think, like, as you can hear, I'm a big person about words. I think words get thrown around really easily and we almost become a bit numb to them. We hear them and it's like, oh yeah, there's that, without stopping and really giving it thought. And authenticity is one of those words. So when you talk about empowering women to be unapologetically authentic, which I love, by the way, what does that look like? How do we know?
So women are socialized to be pleasers.
Mm-hmm.
So men are socialized to chase the prize, and women are socialized to be the prize. So we think unless we say and do and look perfect,
Mm-hmm.
that we're not going to get the guy, we're not going to get the status, we're not going to get the spoils of life.
Yeah.
So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be people pleasers.
Yeah.
We were taught to be pleasing, especially to men.
Mm-hmm.
So for women to be unapologetically authentic, they get to no longer be people pleasers, to learn how to please themselves, to say things that they want to say because they're speaking their truth
Yeah.
and not caring if it offends anyone.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm not saying to be unkind, because the first thing I talked about is spirituality. My goal is to be a loving presence,
Yeah.
but also to not stifle my voice. If there is something that I have an opinion about or want to say, even if it's, not going to be welcomed. This is how movements get started. When white people in America didn't like slavery, they had to speak out against it.
Yeah.
So when we stay quiet is when we lose our power. And women are so powerful. We're the glue that holds the world together because we're so good at bonding and relationships.
Yeah.
So we want to use our voice to speak our truth and to empower other women, especially.
Yeah. It takes practice. It takes practice. I've been on this path for a long time and I still find that I need to catch myself occasionally. But the more we practice it, the more authentically we know when it's a genuine truth. Mm.
Yes.
It's an interesting path to be on. I used to call myself a doormat, which I was for, it was like, please let me lie down and, you can wipe your feet on me if it makes your life easier. Really, I was like that for a huge chunk of my life. And it was when I realized what I was doing and that there was a different option that I started to become more aware of it. And so I think the more we can talk about this and more we see that we're certainly not alone on this journey. So many people are, I've heard Oprah talking about being a chronic people pleaser, recovering, so I love these conversations, and it just opens the door for the conversation to continue beyond our interview, which is amazing. So that is part of your, I imagine, self-love practices, which is another one of your areas that you are very passionate about. So when you're supporting people to think about self-love and having a self-love practice, what does that look like?
That's a great question, Edwina. So, loving yourself, it is similar to being authentic. It's about putting yourself first, whether that means getting plenty of sleep, drinking enough water, having fun. We get to play and have fun too.
Yeah.
Pouring from a full cup, because women, again, we are taught that it's selfish to practice self love,
Mm-hmm.
that self love is not being a good woman, that we have to put everyone else first until we're completely depleted energetically, and that's being a good woman.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, being a good woman is loving ourselves so much that we are giving from the overflow. And when we are full of self love, we're a better wife, we're a better spouse, we're a better best friend, we're a better daughter, we're a better sister because we are giving from an energetically full place.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And I think, there's not a should list around this. I think when we're trying a new practice, it's really easy to try and look for the perfect checklist or the things that we should be doing, but it can look different for everybody, does it not?
It looks very different for everybody. Some
Yeah.
people, for myself, exercise is a huge part of
Yeah.
practicing self love. If I exercise, my batteries are charged for the day and I can give a lot. For some other people, it may be different,
Yeah.
but I believe health, which is my second pillar of abundance, however you can cultivate your health, whether it's yoga, working out, taking walks,
Mm.
whatever it takes to feel healthy and vital in your body is going to
Yeah.
help you give from the overflow and practice self-love.
Yeah. They're the life skills. I've got 4 children, and I think, where are these things, why aren't these things taught to people in schools? Which actually opens another really interesting conversation in the entrepreneurial world at the moment, is the idea that, where is your qualification to teach these things? We've grown up in a generation where the only people that are allowed to teach things are people that have been to university to learn these skills. And suddenly this whole new world has opened up with this knowledge industry where we get to, whatever the passion is, whatever, like the people that have built incredible business around supporting other people to declutter their homes, or, you've come up with your 7 pillars of abundance. How did did you have a support system moving into this? Where did this step come from?
Well, I believe your message is in your mess.
Yes.
So I felt very plateaued and overwhelmed and frustrated because here I moved to LA to become an actress. It was my childhood dream. And everything before LA came easily. As a graduate from Princeton University with honors, and I was a nationally ranked tennis player. So I just figured that it would be easy to become at least a working actress, not necessarily a star. So it didn't happen. So I was forced to look at my life and not put my joy on getting this goal of becoming an actress. So I was forced to learn how to be happy without reaching my goal.
Mm.
And that's how I came up with the 7 pillars of abundance is I no longer define happiness as outer success.
Mm.
Happiness is how much joy I feel and how much I'm loving my life. Now, I had support because I hired a coach. I was going to invest my money in a personal training gym,
Yeah.
and I already had the outline of this book written, and I hadn't written it yet. He
Yeah.
said, instead of investing your money in a gym that is somebody else's vision, why don't you finish your book
Yeah.
and use your marketing dollars to promote your book? And I said, that's a great idea. And I'm so glad that I took his advice because, during COVID, so many gyms shut down.
Mm.
Many went bankrupt, but yet this information business, like you said,
Mm.
Edwina, has just blossomed. So I'm grateful for that coach pointing me in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly wouldn't be sitting here without having taken that first plunge to work with a coach. And it's scary. I mean, I think it's much more normal in the US. In Australia, we're still, coaches are people that you have if you're doing a sport. But the idea of having a life coach, it's still in many areas a very new idea here. But
Yeah.
I think it's been around for a lot longer in the US. Mm.
Well, the OG coach is Tony Robbins. He's like the
Oh,
grandfather of the industry, and he's
I
been
know.
doing this since the 70s. So
Yeah.
he's incredible, and I feel like we owe the whole life coaching business to him.
Yeah. I couldn't help myself. I actually commented on somebody's comment. I very rarely do it, but I saw Tony was promoting a product, and somebody had written on it, where are the reviews for this? Is it okay? And I went, this guy coaches, world leaders, tops people, the top of the top in the world everywhere. I think that's probably testimony enough.
Yeah, I think 4 presidents of the United States that's pretty good client testimonials, right?
Yeah. But it's a classic of, like, where's your university diploma? Should I listen to you? Which is exactly what I was talking about a bit earlier. We're shifting our mindset around what makes an expert. And I know, having been through, many hard journeys in my life, including divorce and being a single mom and all these different things, I want to go to somebody who's been through a divorce to learn how to do divorce properly, not somebody that, kind of learned about it in psychology class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a
that's,
great story about that. So Picasso was in a restaurant and some woman's like, "Oh my God, it's Picasso. Will you draw a painting for me?" And he like took out a napkin. He drew something really quick. It was in a restaurant he was eating. He didn't want to take a long time. And he goes, "Here, that'll be $500." And she's like, "What? $500? You just did this in like 5 seconds on a napkin." He
yeah,
said, "It took me 5 seconds here, but it took me decades and
yeah,
decades and decades to perfect those few strokes
yeah.
that I just did on your napkin." So
Mm-hmm.
it's not what's happening now, it's how many years have we been on a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual journey, how many hours and hours and hours of seminars and trainings and coaches and
Yeah.
therapists have we been in. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what people are investing in, as our many many years of experience, not a 3 or 4 year degree or a
Yeah.
20-hour life coaching certification. It's about the years and years and years of experience we've had in these areas of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that story. It speaks volumes. Absolutely. So, a big part of what I talk about is vision, and I know that you've had a vision, for something that's relatively new. Is it with your new warrior program? Is that something that's, your new baby? So let's start with the vision. Where did the vision for this idea come from, and what have you created?
I wanted to come up with an avatar that was both feminine yet tough.
Yeah.
So, the mission statement on my website is I teach women to be unapologetically authentic so they can live their life with resilience, grit, and grace.
Yeah.
So, having grit as a warrior, going after your dreams, being relentless and persistent, and being tough, that's your grit. And your grace is we can do it in a feminine way, which is a different way to take action than in a masculine way. When you're masculine, you're stepping over the dead bodies and you're pushing your energy and you're shoving and you're hurting people as you achieve your goals and dreams. Whereas when you're feminine, you're actually blessing people and loving people and being grateful about walking toward your goals and dreams and knowing, having an inner knowing that you will get there in
Mm.
divine timing. So that is my avatar. I have a group class, which I'm so excited about, called Elegant Warrior Training, which is it's 7 weeks, and each week we go through each pillar of abundance
Yeah.
and we give you tips, tools, and strategies to have a breakthrough in that pillar of abundance. And the goal is to get each area to a level 10 so you can have a beautifully aligned life. Now, not everybody's going to have every pillar of life at a level 10. That's an impossible goal, including myself, even though I teach it. But it's a good measurement. It's a good barometer to know, okay, I've neglected my social life. I've been a workaholic. I haven't reached out to my girlfriends lately. Social is important. I get to make time to have a coffee with a friend this week. It's just a good way to look at your life to make sure that you're not out of balance.
Yeah. And it is creating communities of people that are on the same journey, which I love, and I just think is such a magic thing that's happening now. I'm part of different Facebook groups and masterminds of people all across the globe, and that's another magic thing that's come out of this whole, knowledge industry. So talk to me, if you're happy to, about what you see as the benefits of being part of one of the communities, or what you see inside the communities that you're creating.
Well, to me, community builds immunity. So
Mm.
we just went through a worldwide pandemic,
Yeah.
and the people that were really isolated and alone had a really hard time.
Yeah.
Suicide rates were up, alcoholism and drug addiction was up.
Mm.
And the people that had community, even if it was online, had
Mm.
people to talk to share with, other people to lift them up. And
Yeah.
we get just as much out of supporting others as we do getting support. So having a community, especially of women,
Yeah.
that believe in you, that hold you high, that think that you can do it. It's
Yeah.
really challenging to be an entrepreneur and to have a dream or a vision when the people around you are saying, "Oh, get your head out of the clouds. That's never going to happen. I can't believe you spent money on that. What were you thinking?" You can do it, but it's really challenging. If you have
Mm.
a group of women who are cheering you on, and even better than that, if you have a coach or a mentor or even a group that's already done what you want to do, then
Yeah.
they can show you exactly what to do. And
Mm.
that's what I like is the whole find somebody who has what you want, and if you do what they did, you can get what they got. It's
Yeah.
so much more fun and it's so much easier than having to do it on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, it was one of the most valuable things that I found was becoming part of a community that were all on the same adventure that I was going through the same struggles and the mindset stuff, which is really key and everything. Um, and being able to lift each other up and celebrate each other's successes and be there when the things weren't working. It really is the most invaluable tool to have in growing an entrepreneurial career, I think. Mm.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
We were part of the same community. We just hadn't met each other, but we had,
Yeah.
several mutual friends and
Yeah.
now we're friends too. So here's yet another relationship that is going to be
Yeah.
cultivated so that we can hold each other high. So it's just a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're launching something new, when you come up with a new vision and you're going to launch this new baby, deliver this new baby into the world, how do you deal with is this right? Do you have is this good enough? Who am I to do this? Those conversations, do they come up and how do you address them if they do?
They come up so much, Edwina. It is a daily practice
Yeah.
for me to do affirmations. So,
Yeah.
in my book, How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time, there's 21 affirmations,
Mhm.
and they're so important to say.
Yeah.
So let's look at the affirmations on financial. I am making a six-figure income working part-time. I have a beautiful, balanced, abundant life. I am able to have the freedom to do what I want, when I want, where I want, and with who I want.
Yeah.
So those are just some. For the I am not good enough thing, which happens all the time,
Yeah.
I have been saying this beautiful affirmation: I am enough, I have enough, I am willing to set myself free.
Yeah.
So things don't happen as fast as I want them to, Edwina. I want everything to happen 5 minutes ago. And it's also trusting divine timing. So now we're going back to pillar one, surrender, spirituality, trusting that as long as I take the action, I like to say that I'm in the action business and God is in the results business. All I can do is launch my product, share my idea, promote
Yeah.
my good or service, and how people receive it and how fast it monetizes is out of my hands. But I can keep talking about it and writing about it and promoting it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a back and forth conversation, the whole not good enough. I call it not good enough syndrome. And I feel like it's, every now and then I feel like I've got on top of it and then I'll launch something else and it comes up again. And so I don't know that it ever actually goes away. It gets to be something that we have these lovely tools and tricks to support us through it. And definitely being part of the right communities, the right voices that support us to come out of it is key. So one of the questions that I love to ask all my speakers, because we're talking about building this entrepreneurial life, and the reason that we're doing it is we're working towards a vision of the rich and prosperous life that we want to be living. So, and that's different for everybody. So what does a rich and prosperous life look like to Rebecca Whitman?
So for me, money is freedom.
Yep.
I don't believe in accumulating money because I want a bunch of stuff. So you don't see U-Hauls following hearse, right? You can't take all your stuff with you to the grave.
Yeah.
I want freedom while I'm here. So money
Yeah.
gives you freedom. I want the freedom to do what I want,
Yeah.
when I want, where I want, and with whom I want.
Yep.
The worst feeling in the world is if someone invites you on a beautiful vacation or out to a fancy dinner or to go shopping, and you're like, oh, I would love to go shopping with you today. I just can't afford to buy anything, or I can't afford to go out to dinner, or I can't afford to go to this paradise with you. I don't want to have that ever come out of my mouth. I want to be like, yes, I would love to do that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I know that you have a beautiful gift for our audience. Did you want to take a second just to let them know what that is?
I would love to. So I have a really cool quiz. It's super simple, super fast, like maybe 3 minutes of your time, and it is a snapshot of your life. You get to see all 7 pillars of abundance. You get to see what's working and what's not working.
Yeah.
And that wisdom is so powerful because you want to celebrate the wins. You want to celebrate what is working in your life. And you also want to look at what areas need a little bit of support and nurturing so you can get the help that you need. So that is my gift. It's a super cool quiz and it'll show you in 3 minutes, boom, you'll find out where you're in balance and where you're out of balance.
Love it. And my final question for you, I hope that noise isn't coming through. I've got a neighbor that's just decided to wash out the diesel engine on their boat. Timing. I hope the noise isn't coming through, but
I can't hear anything.
oh, good. When you look at a woman and you say, oh my goodness, what a phenomenal woman, what are you seeing?
I'm looking at a woman who changes the energy when she walks into the room. I'm looking at a woman who is so high vibe and so loving and so just full of grace that literally when she walks into the room, everybody stares at her. Everybody wants to find out what is she doing in the room. I've got to meet her. I've got to talk to her. I've got to see what is making her shine so brightly.
Yeah.
And it's a woman that has charisma and magnetism and is just full of light. So that's
Yeah.
what it means to me.
Do you have somebody in mind when you make that description? Is there somebody that you look to that's just that fits that, or is it a compilation of different women combination?
I
I'm just
think it's
curious.
that's a, I've never thought of it. I'd say it's a combination of like a thought leader,
Mm,
Oprah meets
yeah.
Gwen Stefani, meets J Lo, meets Julia Roberts. Like,
Yeah.
just a
Yeah.
absolutely magnetic, charismatic, beautiful
Yeah.
woman in
Yeah.
all ways.
I do see that in Oprah. The woman that often comes to mind for me is Judi Dench. She's one of those incredibly, she's a phenomenal woman. But we all see different things in different people. So I just think I love to hear what other people are thinking when they say
I
that.
love Michelle Obama. She has
Yeah.
that. Kamala Harris, Marianne Williamson.
Oh, yeah.
You just feel it when they walk into the room. The timbre of the room actually
Yeah.
shifts. So that's a phenomenal woman to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. You've shared so many beautiful insights into the work that you do and the woman that you are. And I'm very grateful to you for being here. Thank you.
It was lovely. Thank you for having me, Edwina.
Pleasure.